But now we're in a new phase. We're in a new time in this recovery. Every day brings new challenges. And every day sometimes there are new obstacles that get in the way. And what we just have to do in a leadership role, you just move those obstacles out of the way and you move on. You don't dwell on them all the time. You just get them out of the way. And in fact, that's what I did with y'all early on. When all of you were in the local level were frozen over who was going to pay for the 25% versus the 75% that came from FEMA. I said, just don't worry about it. The state will take care of it for the first 30 days if you'll get to work and start cleaning up your community. And you did. And I appreciate that. Now, do we have the 25%? Well, we've got it at 90% now and 10%. But did we have that money then? No, we didn't have it. And I didn't know where we were going to get it. But you know what? That was an obstacle in the way that we had to move. And so we moved it. And that's what we're going to do every day as we continue in this long-term recovery. We will be putting in place an entity in the state that will assist you with this long-term recovery. In fact, we're going to work on it this afternoon in Montgomery. Many of the people are coming on down, and we will begin. We will use the private sector. We will offer to communities what they need as far as long-term recovery. Many of you have already started setting up long-term recovery programs, like Tuscaloosa here with, I think y'all call it BRIC. Is that right, Mayor? So many of you have already started doing that. And then we will join with you in those programs because, as I say, it's all local. And we want to help you in your local communities. While we move forward and with this recovery and rebuilding, we need to make sure that we rebuild Alabama better. So sometimes you make lemonade out of lemons. And so when an area is destroyed, we need to look at how we rebuild it and what's the best way to rebuild it. We need to learn from things that we have seen across this state. Tornadoes are different from a hurricane. It affects people, it affects the terrain differently. So we need to look at what we need to do to protect people against an EF4 or an EF5 tornado. Because you know that nothing can withstand, or there are very few things that can withstand an EF5 tornado. We need to look at Danny Cole. Danny and 15 other people got into a shelter in Phil Campbell, Alabama, and an EF5 tornado hit that town. Every one of them walked out. Now, why did they do that? Well, they were in a shelter that sheltered them from at least a 250-mile-an-hour wind, and they were able to get out. So we need to look to see what worked well. And then again, we need to look at other places. We need to look at schools across this state, and we had 18 that were injured and damaged in the state of Alabama, 5 totally destroyed. And what we need to do is we need to look at places like Hackleburg. And in Hackleburg, normally you would have put your students, the safest place would have been in the hallway. The hallway was not there anymore. So what do we need to do? Well, we need to look and to see how we rebuild schools and harden areas in the school and have a protection even against a 250-mile-an-hour wind if there's one that comes along like that. So we learn from what we see as far as our experience is concerned. So innovative ideas, as you talk today and discuss this today, innovative ideas such as hardening athletic facilities for dual use and turning hardened schools into safe rooms when no school is taking place. Like down in South Alabama, you know the mitigation money that we're going to get applies to the whole state. So we need to be looking forward as we look at this mitigation money that we get. We need to be looking forward to hurricanes. We don't need to be evacuating everybody in the coast we need to make sure they're safe away from the coast, but we don't have to evacuate and reverse the lanes and do all the things that we've tried to do in the past. There are things that we need to do. Is if we have safe places for people to be, then that's where they need to be. We must make sure that the attitude of Alabamians stays on high alert. You know, I was asked on national television, they said, were y'all prepared for these tornadoes? I said, we're always prepared for tornadoes in Alabama. I said, James Spann makes sure of that. But not just James Spann, but all of our meteorologists on all of the TV stations do an outstanding job of preparing us and warning us, and the people in Alabama take it seriously. Now, you don't have but 5 or 10 minutes to get out of the way of an EF5 tornado, so, you know, you better be prepared. And people in Alabama generally are prepared. I think people that day were prepared, and they listened. But we need to think of things like the weather radios and things of this nature. Now, if we have a set amount of money available to us, we need to make sure that that money is spent in the best way possible to protect the largest number of people possible. We don't want to frivolously spend the money. So we need to make sure that we protect the lives of as many people as we possibly can. As we meet today, I would encourage each one of you to look for opportunities to improve your community. As I said, everything's local. Elmore County is not the same as Jackson County. Phil Campbell's not the same as Washington County or Jackson County. Every one of you have a different need. And what you need to do is look at the needs in your community, but we still need to look at overall what is the most effective and efficient way of spending the money to protect the number of lives that we need to protect in this state. I know that you will take this seriously, and I know that this is very important for us to be here together today. I've learned a lot. I mean, who prepares you for a disaster? You know, I didn't get a book when I became governor that said, this is how you take care of the state of Alabama when you have a disaster. So I didn't get a book on that. In fact, I didn't even talk to the former governor but 3 times, I don't think, before I became governor. So you have to look on your own life's experiences when you manage any type of disasters and trials that come into your life. And so that's what I've done. So I have done that because I'm an old man. And I've been through a lot of things. And I've seen a lot of death. And I've seen a lot of destruction. And I've been in charge of many instances where I had to be in control, because there are 3 things that are important that you always have to remember when you lead a disaster. Number 1 is you have to be in control as the leader, whether it's on a local level or whether it's the governor. You have to be in control, not only of the situation, but of yourself. Number 2, you have to always make concise decisions. Concise decisions, and you make the decisions and you move obstacles out of the way. Number 3, you always deal with a disaster with compassion, because you're dealing with the lives of people. So you remember those 3 things. Be in control, concise decisions, but always do it with compassion. And you do that, we'll get through these things. And many of you and most of you have done that. And again, let me say how much I appreciate that. And I look forward to continue this long-term recovery. We'll continue to learn from this, and I hope the rest of the country looks at Alabama one day and says, that's the way you handle a disaster. So God bless y'all, and thank you for letting me come and speak to you today.